Early. The Senate is scheduled to vote as early as tonight, but now it looks like it's going to be tomorrow on two proposals to cut spending. The Republican-backed measure would cut $61 billion in spending, and the White House-backed Democratic measure would cut only $4.7 billion in spending. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, you're not going to believe this, took to the floor today and was not happy about the Republicans' quote, mean-spirited budget bill.
These programs create jobs. The National Endowment of Humanities is a reason we have in Northern Nevada every January the Cowboy Poetry Festival. Had that program not been around, the tens of thousands of people who come there every year would not exist.
Come on, give me a break. Cowboy Poetry Festival. Where's that in the Constitution? Here with reaction, Republican Senator from Pennsylvania, Pat Toomey. Senator Toomey, it's a pleasure. Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. I know that sometimes politicians get carried away, but is that a reason for borrowing trillions and not balancing the budget, that he wants a Cowboy Poetry Festival to continue in the desert in Nevada?
Judge, it's just beyond belief. I just hope that this clip goes viral all over the country, because my constituents, they just won't believe it unless they actually see with their own eyes that the majority leader, in a year when we're running a $1.6 trillion deficit,
right,
when we're adding huge amounts of debt to the backs of our kids and our grandkids, he is attacking us for these little tiny cuts because it might interrupt the Cowboy Poetry Festival. It's beyond words. I'm speechless.
Well, you know, it does address or help us address the larger picture, Senator Toomey, a picture that you addressed very eloquently during your campaign and certainly on the pages of the Wall Street Journal about a month ago. Does anybody in government, with the exception of a few of you, take seriously the monstrous debt that is confronting us? Or are they more concerned with these little crazy things that please some of their constituents that prior Congresses and presidents have allowed them to get away with?
Well, you know, it's very clear there's a big divide here. You know, we're going to vote on the House-passed CR that, as you pointed out, it cut $61 billion. It's $100 billion less than what the president asked for. It's about 10% of the non-defense discretionary spending, this little category of spending that remains for the rest of this fiscal year. I frankly think we should cut more, but this is progress. And Majority Leader Reid and the White House, their position is, oh, no, we can't cut anything. Never mind that they have taken government spending from slightly less than 20% of our total economy to 25% of our economy overnight. But there's no room to cut, because we certainly couldn't cancel the Cowboy Poetry Festival. It's just unbelievable. Really.
It is crazy, Senator. Your colleague, Senator Jerry Moran from Kansas, also a freshman, a member of the Senate like you, told us that because each of these things to pass requires 60 votes, that is the Democratic version and the version that came over from the House, that it is likely that neither will pass tomorrow. So what will happen, Senator Toomey? Will they kick the can down the road for another 2-week continuing resolution and just delay the very serious debate that the Senate and the House should be having about the role of the federal government in people's lives and the role of debt in the lives of generations as yet unborn?
Well, I think that's exactly what we need to do. Jerry Moran is right. Neither side is going to get to 60 votes, so we're not going to enact law tomorrow, but we will see who's on which side, who's on the side of the American taxpayer and who's on the side of endlessly bigger government. And then I think we need to clear the schedule on the Senate and focus exclusively on how we're going to get this spending under control, how we're going to get this under control and stop running these massive deficits, this unsustainable debt. I know there are a lot of my colleagues on our side who feel very, very strongly that this has to be the #1 priority.
Right.
Majority Leader Reid has made very clear what his priority is, and it has much more to do with poetry festivals. But we've got to have this debate because we just can't keep kicking this can down the road. I'm very worried about the trajectory that we're on. And you know, massive deficits and debt, it never ends well. We've got to get off this path.
Will you vote, as every member of Congress will be asked to vote in the next couple of weeks, on the national debt, whether the government will be authorized to borrow more money? Will you vote against that and force the government to spend only what it collects, as you argued so nicely in that Wall Street Journal piece that you wrote?
What I have said, Judge, is that there's two things that I need to see before I would be willing to vote to raise the debt limit. One is real, substantial cuts in spending now. Not promises for the future, but actual cuts right now, this year, immediately taking effect. The other thing is real structural reforms so that we can get out of this endless cycle of too much spending and too much deficit. I'm talking about a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution combined with statutory spending caps that are real, that kick in with an automatic across-the-board cuts if they are exceeded. If we have those kind of fiscal constraints, that kind of straitjacket on government, then we'll be okay. But in the absence, I mean, the administration simply wants us to vote to raise the debt ceiling with no conditions attached.
Right.
Just continue spending as usual. I'll vote against that.
Okay. We just have a few seconds, Senator. The balanced budget amendment lost in the Senate. Oh, it came so close, and even Democrats, coincidentally, those up for re-election this year in next year in 2012, voted for it. But so close. Do you really expect the structural change that you've just eloquently proposed to come about?
I don't know, and I will acknowledge that based on the vote last week, it's not encouraging. Most of the Democrats voted against the balanced budget amendment, but I'm not willing to raise the debt ceiling unless we reform the way we do business.
Got it. Senator Toomey, Senator Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Judge.
Congressman Peter King from New York, his upcoming hearings on Islamic radicalism.